Hey Liam, yeah, it's a Tellico Nymph. Yeah, we're just gonna palm her down that peacock girl and fluff it up a bit. To strengthen, we're just gonna wrap around her thread 6 times you do. So we'll have 6 wraps. just untwist any extra wraps there. A couple turns just to tie it in. Just clip away the excess. Give us a nice stripe body. With a fat butt, that's what we're looking for. Cap on the top there. And I'll just cut off the excess turkey. Get a few wraps into those ends, but we don't need to bury them too bad. And I'll get a few more wraps back. That's what we'll tie in our legs. And for our legs, we're just going to use, let's see if I can find one with a nice brown patch here. Okay, I can do better than that one. Yeah, there we go. Really nice iridescent top to it, and that little black patch on the top is going to be our thorax cover. So just want to strip out the fluff. It is key to make sure it gets everywhere. The feather has a natural curve to it, as you can see. So what we're going to do is one side of the feather is going to be for the left and one side for the right. And it also has a more dull side, and that's the side we're actually going to be using for the outside of our legs. And for the first set, we want them basically whatever's left, kind of whatever's left of the gap of the hook. So give or take about six or 8 fibers. Just pull those off. And we're going to do that for both sides and then double them up for the center. And we're left with that much. we'll mix those together a bit. Two wraps hold it in place, and we'll just adjust it. We want it coming up basically to your point, and then back it off a hair if you got it up there. That's good. You just want a little gap there. And this one you want to be a little more prominent than the others that you're putting in. Two more wraps to seal it. And we're just going to do one wrap, two wraps. I'll go three, just because that's what I did. Behind. That'll help it stand up, give us a cleaner cut. The other ones we're just gonna tie in as we go. So for this side of the fly, we're going to be using again the inside, the less iridescent side. Even though this side is really beautiful and throws a lot of light, that's not what their legs do. Their legs are more of a mute color, so we're going with that. And that ever so slight curve will also help the legs to stick out and give them a lot more movement in the water. And we're just going to put that right on top. Hold it in place. And just gently tie it in two wraps. That'll fill on that side, see? We got it partially all the way around now. Do the same thing on the other side. Again, taking that much out of the feather. But this time it's bending the other direction. And you can also see they have a not only an upward bend, but a downward bend too. So they fit almost perfectly for these nymphs. It's like these feathers were just absolutely designed for this pattern. You can see how much it makes it an amazing, nice little frill on there. You can totally hand wrap this. You could do a soft tackle. If you're not going for perfect aesthetics, that's perfectly fine. The fish won't care. You can see how that makes just a wonderful little leg caper on there. On these last ones, play nice. There we go. Adding them up top just for the thorax there. So that part is a little bit heavier. Okay. And this will add that little bit of a red, that iridescent red tinge that it has on the edge of this. There we go. I like that. That turned out good. You could use this, what's left of this feather. I'm going to be using a slightly different one just because the black patch in the middle there just isn't very pronounced on this one. I like a little bit bigger of a black patch, so. I can show this up to the camera without it sliding everywhere. I got a bunch in this little holder I've been working on from the other nymphs, so I'm just going to add it to the pile, but pick one that's a little bit more conducive. You can totally use that though. That's the nice thing with this pattern, is that you can get the whole thing tied in with just that one feather for all the legs in your thorax cap. I'm just going to gently lift that up and get a couple wraps under it. That'll help to build it up and stand it up. You can trim it short. And one thing I like to do, not required at all, you can just bury all this with your thread, but if you take a Sharpie and just hit up your cutoff ends, that way if one sticks through your thread or you don't quite bury it as much as you should have or whatnot, it's black, so it won't show through. Make a big deal. I'm gonna completely bury these down yet. I'm just gonna start getting them wrapped in. Now, since it is a nymph too, I do like to have a good medium-sized head on there, because nymphs have a good big, a good sized head to them. So you're not gonna go wrong with that. I'm just gonna look through my ends here and see if I can find a suitable one, like we were saying. This one might be the best one I got so far. There's a few more in there that are a bit larger, but this will do. And that's obviously going to be too large, so we're just going to tear off. Just going to even it out by tearing off a little bit on either side. You can even use those for your center legs for the next one if you had some smaller ones. Smaller feathers to work with. And just a few more fibers off this side. Come on, behave. There we go. Looks like just one or two more off the left side here. There we go. Okay, and their thorax cap is a good size. So you want it basically the size of whatever's left to your gap. Not the whole gap, just underneath the body. Because that's going to be their shoulder plate, and it's quite large. It'll fit right across their abdomen. This is going to shrink up a bit when you tie it into, and you want to have it just back from the back of the legs. So, basically right in there. I think it's just a hair. Yeah, just gonna take a couple more fibers off. There we go. There. Now, if you really want to make it durable and you got time to burn, you can just give it a coating of varnish or head cement or nail polish at that point. If you have any kind of semi-flexible glue, it's a great time to use it. You generally want to tie it in just a hair on your side of the bug, because it almost always will want to twist and carry around with the wrapping of the thread. And 2 wraps behind, lock it in, and we can start making our head. Just going to hold everything in place here so it doesn't shift, and we'll just start binding that down. Actually, I'm just going to give it a little dab with the pen here first. And poof, it's gone. And traditionally, this pattern doesn't have any eyes or anything, but if you like a larger head, you could easily throw some mono eyes in there. There's nothing saying you couldn't do that. The nymph this is representing is very, looks a lot more like the body. It's very segmented. Hey, Luke, how you doing, mate? Thanks for stopping in. And we're just gonna throw 5 or 6. Oop. Yeah, that would be why I generally throw a couple half inches before I whip finish. Well, that's good. We're just gonna finish it off with another half inch or two. And she's not gonna go nowhere once her head's all varnished. There would be. I think I just pulled on it a hair hard, but using fairly fine 8/0 thread, so it doesn't take much. There she is. See that nice little iridescent back cap that that feather tip will give you on the top there. I think that looks beauty. There you go. And you can see a nice separation between the side legs and the under legs there. It does actually make a difference on how the legs move in the water. If you're doing just a soft hackle wrap, they're all gonna be bound together by the rachis on the hackle, so I wouldn't really say they would move as one piece, but they definitely will have a stiffer movement to them than tying it in this way. It takes a little longer, but I really like the outcome better. Just got a little dab on the underside here and then call it good. There it be. Yeah, the movement is definitely more natural like this. It's because each of the way you're tying the feathers in, the natural curve of the feather, you know, it basically acts like a spring. So when you're pulling it, I'm getting the spring from the rachis more than anything, but since it is curved, as you're pulling it through the water, it's going to cause it to do that. If you're wrapping it around, then you're getting basically like this, right? So it doesn't have the same effect. It'll work fine, but you do lose that effect quite a bit when you wrap it compared to tie it in that way. When you're pulling it through, they'll undulate a lot like their breathers and actual legs will when they're moving through. And you also get a slight separation between the top legs and the under legs there. And that's more just for whatever angle the fish might be coming at, because they're generally only going to see it from this angle, from underneath, and they're going to be looking for legs that are splaying out. I'd probably class it as like a semi-realistic nymph fly, because it does actually match the. I don't have any pictures of Tellico nymphs here, but it's named after a specific nymph that lives around that river in, is it Arkansas? Can't recall right off the top of my head. It's a fairly famous river creek system. But I mean, these will work anywhere. But there's all its friends. They have quite a long, pronounced tail, actually, probably longer than what I'm tying them here. And they have a 3-barb tail. Like a lot of nymphs are a lot more pronounced on the 2 outer barbs, and the center one is, off back, lack of a better way to say it, it's more like a water jet. They can shoot water out to get a boost of speed when they're attacking their prey. But that center one is much more pronounced on these specific nymphs. So if I was making a realistic copy of it, I'd probably use a goose biot split with one down in the middle. But this is just the traditional way that this was tied. This one dates back to, what do I have it written down here? It doesn't actually give me a date. At least 60s or 70s though, it's been around for quite a while. And again, since they have such long tails compared to most nymphs, these pheasant rump feathers work really well because they're stiff, but they also have like a good bit of play with them. So they're really lively, and they have that very slight iridescent quality to them. Not sure if I can get a light to catch it. I'll go up a little bit. There you go. You can see that nice iridescent pattern on the bottom. Not so much the tips, because we're not looking for that in the tail. But it allows a good bit of movement. Yeah, thanks for the sub, Jail. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is definitely more of a classic pattern than a realistic nymph pattern. But it does a surprisingly good job of imitating the nymph. You want about, half a dozen to 8 or 10 fibers for the back. You can definitely tie this in with just a single peacock curl, but I find it stands out a little better with two. And if one of them breaks off, you still got the other while you're fishing, because they do that. And we're tied in on the side closest to you. That's where you're going to end your chenille. You don't have to use chenille. I just happen to have a bunch of this old vintage chenille, which would have been the exact stuff they would have been using, so. For completeness on the vintage pattern's sake, that's what I'm using. It's even spun differently, so you have to kind of twist it up. It's the old vintage chenille was, I'm not sure if it'll show up on the camera, it's basically flat. But once you tie it in, you just spin her up and it'll fluff up and work just the same. I think it was just the cording method. Almost a lot like if you were splitting your thread to put like a dubbing loop in, kind of the same idea. We're going to cut a little bit off the top there and scoot it in. You want to leave about a bobbin width for the head there, so you got room to tie your legs in. And I like to throw a hackle plier on there, just stops it from getting as tangled. Now, one other way you can definitely tie this, which is probably the way more people do, is to just tie in. You can either omit it completely and just wrap it with just the herl, but being that it's so brittle, if they snap, then that part of your nymph's gonna go spring and you know, not be the best. But you could tie it in instead of moving your thread back like I'm doing here. I'll make sure you get at least 3 wraps in there so it's not gonna pull out on you. But yeah, if you don't want to move your thread back there, you could easily have tied in your chenille in the back and then added like you know, like some thin copper wire. That'd work fine. And wrap your peacock herl around the copper wire. That would give it that extra strength instead of your thread. You want to roll this anti-clockwise, because as you're wrapping it, if you roll it clockwise, it'll uncoil. Then you'll end up with a difference in thickness as you're wrapping. This way you can slowly wrap it and continue to twist. You can see now that I've done that. It's pretty much just like your traditional chenille. But I don't have a date on the spool. This stuff, you can see now it's starting to flatten out, so just add a little bit more twist to it again. Late 70s. And that'll be it. I'm gonna tie this off. We're just gonna come up from behind it. Find that little slot behind the last wrap we did. Get at least 3 turns in there. Try and get them all in the same spot if you can manage it. And come up one more time behind. Trap it again. I like to do 2. I mean, If you're confident, you can just do one, but I don't see a reason not to do two. That is the majority of your fly there. You don't want it going sproing and flying off on you. There. Take our peacock hurl and backstroke it. I normally tie this in the opposite direction, except for this fly I'm not, because I'm putting the thick part first. I'm saving the thin tips for some buzzers and other flies, but we want the thickest part of the hurl wrapping the body so it stands out the most. But if you wrap it the other direction, as you're wrapping it, your fingers will pull back and automatically fluff it up for you, which is nice. In this case, we just got to be mindful. And then we're just going to bring it up. And we just got to find our little... Let's see that one in there, right? Yeah, it looks like it did. And we're just going to be going in between each of the wraps that we did before. And if you're lucky, it won't fight you, and it'll just go right in there. And it looks like we got her. I just realized I totally forgot to tie in my turkey quill. So we don't have a back cap, so... Okay. Seeing if I got another bobbin kicking around here. I don't think I do. Not loaded up anyway. That's a shame. Got ahead of myself and didn't tie that in. Alright. That's fine. We can save it.